Hello, and welcome to Conversations for the Soul, one good sip at a time with Dr. Angie and Yashica B, the Motivator. Now, the surprise this evening is that Yashica B is off traveling. She's at a conference doing what she does. That's what we do, making ourselves better, investing in ourselves, and doing the things that we need to do to become better for you. So that's where she is. She is planning to hop on at some point during the show if she can, if the conference schedule allows her to do so. But as a very special surprise, we do have another guest host with us. But I want to talk to you really quick about Conversations for the Soul. So Conversations for the Soul, one good sip at a time, is a conversation where real women have real talk about real issues. Now, sometimes the conversations are sweet, but a lot of times those conversations are savory. And we enjoy getting to the nitty gritty of conversations, of things that need to be spoken on, but not always done in a comfortable space. But we want to make this space comfortable for you so that you can jump in, give your feedback, add to us whatever information you have, ask any questions. We ask you a couple of favors, and one is that you like and share on Facebook, and then the other is that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. So with all that being said, I do want to just take a moment out to introduce our guest host, who is technically just a introducer, because we're not going to keep him very long, because he didn't like the idea of us saying that real women have real talk, and he is not one of them. So we wanted to just take this moment out. I'm going to introduce someone that I know somewhat. He is a business coach, entrepreneur, a professor, and someone that I have come to love. And I know that he is always, always, always supporting me in everything that I do. So I want to just say thank you to him right now for what he is doing as far as this show goes, and for being able to support us in this effort. So at this time, without further ado, I would like to introduce to you Dr. John Gray.
Hey, hon.
Hey, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Okay.
Thank you. So
if it's a little bright, it's because I'm improvising in here. So this is a little bright is okay. But you look stunning.
Oh, thank you, sweetie. You look very
stunning.
handsome yourself. You're not doing too bad yourself.
Oh, well, listen, I know you guys got me down as a guest host, and you guys have such a wonderful thing going on in terms of the conversations that you have with ladies. But I really felt compelled to just talk about this young lady that's coming up. And I don't want to talk long because, first of all, she's from the UK and it's 5 hours ahead. But I met Jasmine Hamilton. She was one of my coaching clients in my Champions Academy program. And you guys will are going to talk about that, I'm sure. But Ange, when I meet people, she's a kindred spirit like you. She has such a tenacity, a resilience. She has this spiritual fortitude that is impressive and is amazing. And when I got to know her through the 8-week coaching program, which, you know, that 8 week went by like this, but we're still flowing. I
Still
said,
connected, huh?
She has something to share with the world. She has something to share with the world. So with that being said, I would love for us to bring up Jasmine Hamilton, and she is going to have that conversation with you. And ladies and gentlemen, when you hear Jasmine's story, I tell you, Jasmine is going to change lives. She's going to change lives. She's going to change lives through her story. She's going to change lives through her fortitude. She's going to change lives through her power, the power of her faith. And she is a true testament to had it not been for God. Had it not been for God. Hey, Jasmine.
Hi.
Good to see you again.
Thank you. You too, Dr. Gray.
Okay. So, Jasmine, I was just telling my wife, and I was just telling her audience that when we met in a coaching program, I knew what I saw roughly. But when we started really working, I said, oh my goodness, there's something here. There's something here. She has a story that's got to be told. Oh my goodness. I mean, you are the picture of resilience. You really are.
Thank you.
You accepted every challenge I threw at you. But more than that, you threw every challenge that life threw at you. You faced it. Every challenge life threw at you. And you have a powerful story of faith, perseverance, and just grit to share with the world. So I want to welcome you to Conversations for the Soul. And I can't wait for the listeners to hear your story. I cannot wait for you and Dr. Angie to have conversation, because this is going to be powerful. And Jasmine, I'll just tell you like this: continue to walk in the power of your witness. Yes. You are a light to the world, and God is using you for such a time as this. So, ladies, thank you so much for letting me introduce my friend, my Jasmine, my mentee Jasmine. And Jasmine, even though we're on the other ends of the pond, we're always going to stay like this.
Yes, definitely.
And we're just getting started. So, Dr. Angie, thank you so much for having me, and I'll be still tuning in and listening in as well, and commenting, of course.
All right. Thank you so much. As always, your support is just so well. First of all, invited, and then second of all, appreciated. So thank you,
sweetheart.
So, Jasmine, how are you?
I'm okay, thank you.
Good. Okay. Now, I don't know if people picked up what they heard there, if they understood what was being said, but what was being said is it's midnight there. And look at you, girl, looking good at midnight. At midnight, trust me, I don't look anything like that. Okay, beautiful young lady. I see that we have Miss Pele Honkin joining us, so thank you so much, Pele. We look forward to getting some comments from you. And Jasmine, so how this works with us is that we get a chance to dive in, and if our audience asks us any questions, then we will put those questions to you and allow you to answer them, and whatever feedback they may have, we would certainly give you that feedback as well. So every now and then you'll hear me say, hold on for a second, I'm just going to talk real quick about what's going on. So I want to do that. I want you to be aware of that. And also, I want us at this point in time, Dr. Gray said that you were part of his Champions Academy. Can you tell me what that experience was like for you?
Well, to begin with, it was very scary because I didn't know what to expect. I've never had a program or, done a program like that with anybody before. So I thought, do you know what? It'll be interesting. So he's absolutely phenomenal. He made me realize what I had inside. He gave me confidence to be able to, talk my story and to put challenges for myself. So he coached me in such a way that I didn't think I could do most of the stuff that I've achieved. So he's given me the ability to do that and to believe in myself, really.
Very nice. And that's quite wonderful, because my understanding is that you are a wonderful young lady. I have had the opportunity to get a little bit of the backstory, so I'm a little bit privy based on the conversations that you all had when I was saying to him, okay, tell me a little bit about Jasmine so I know what kinds of questions to ask. And I was able to get some backstory, and boy, oh boy, riveting. So I thank you so much. I see somebody when they're saying, hey, Mom, and I don't have any children that are on Facebook right now. So I think they might be talking to you.
It might be.
Yes. So proud of you. I'm proud of you. So do you know this person, Lene Hamilton?
Yes, that's my daughter.
Okay. Awesome. Now, how many children do you have?
I've got 4. As you know, Tyra's passed, so I've got a 32-year-old son, my oldest.
Wow. 32? How old were you when you had him? 4?
19, 18.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so
Wow.
Keelan's 32. Lene is my second oldest. She's 25. Tyra would be 21. And Amari, my youngest, is 16 this year.
Very nice. Awesome. So there were a couple of things in there that really stuck out to me. One, that you have 4 children, because I also have 4 children, 4 daughters, 25, 21, 17, and 9. So we have some age groups in there that are kind of similar. So I can relate to that. But one of the things that I heard you say that I was not, I don't want you to think for 1 second that I'm being dismissive about it. I heard you say that you lost a child.
Yes.
And that in and of itself is quite a story. That's not something I would ever wish on anyone. And certainly not something that I could ever deem as okay. And sometimes I know that we're not okay. And I want you to know that it's okay to not be okay. So we understand that. We definitely understand that. So as you are getting an opportunity to discuss your story with us, I'm certain we'll get more information on that. I'm going to basically leave this up to you in terms of how you want to discuss any aspect of this, because the things that you will be talking about this evening are all very challenging. Let's just say they gave you plenty of opportunity for resilience, gave you plenty of opportunity to really dig in and find that faith, that hope that you are at this point sharing with the world. So I know you've had some real heavy experiences, and I want you to just feel free to be in this space, knowing that we care about you and that we are here for you. And we want you to share what you can, what you choose to. We will never dig, never pry, none of that. So don't worry about that. But we do want you to have an opportunity to share your story. So you started sharing some of that story. And I would like to just say to our audience that this is a new author. And when we are authors, I tell you, it changes the game. So I want to know when and how long it took, some of the little nitty-gritty details about your new book. And my understanding is that that book is called From Pain to Purpose. And I think that book will kind of guide our conversation. So talk to us about From Pain to Purpose.
Right. First of all, I want to thank you for acknowledging Tyra. I used to get a bit nervous when people ask me how many kids I've got. I didn't know whether to say 4 or 3.
Well, once a mother, always a mother.
Yeah, now I say 4 now because I didn't know what I was supposed to do or say. But Tyra will always be with me, so I've definitely got 4 children. So thank you for acknowledging Ty. But my book was inspired by Tyra, to be honest. I always thought I had it in me to write a book. I always wanted to write a book, but I just didn't ever do it. And then when I had the challenges in my life, I always kept journals. And I wondered to myself, why am I always keeping a journal? Because I never used to. But I've kept journals for years, over 10, 12 years.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, I have to interrupt here because journaling is one of those things that I really believe is an important strategy. Talk to me about what part journaling played in your life. What you said, 10 to 12 years. So many of us don't have that experience, but I tell you, it's one to hear about. So tell us about that experience.
Journaling for me played a massive part because journaling is therapeutic. So when I was going through my struggles, writing my thoughts down helped me. I used to write and tears would be flowing, and I'd still write through the tears. Sometimes I'd have a break and then I'd get right back on it. I'd pray and get right back on it. but journaling is something that really helped me. It kept me sane, to be honest. It's almost like therapy in itself, because you're
Yes.
putting all your inner thoughts down. When I'm reading back at these journals, I was shocked. I couldn't even remember the things that I'd done. I done that. It was kind of a to say that, oh, I don't remember doing that. Oh, yes, I remember that. So there's bits of it when you read back at your journals that you can't believe that you've done, or you've forgotten that you'd gone through. But at the time of going through each stage, it's really, really therapeutic.
Yes, I agree. And I'll tell you, sometimes I don't go back as often as I would like to, and probably as often as I should. But when I do, I'm always shocked, always surprised. Sometimes I'm like, wait a minute, I wrote this? Wait, hold time. This was me? As my daughter would say, wait, what? So I find myself, when I go back and I look at journaling, it's always a good experience. Even if I am looking at something that I wrote about that was not a good experience,
Yes.
reading about it and seeing how I made it through, and realizing that there's no way in the world I could have made it through that situation by myself. I either had to have faith, I had to have hope, I had to have some outlet. And journals, I have to say this. I tell my husband all the time, there's certain things that I do as part of my regimen that have saved his life and my children's life and those around me. They've kept me sane. They've kept me from really losing it. So I just find that journaling is one of those things. So thank you for sharing that with us. Crystal clear about how important journaling is. And then the beautiful thing is you were able to go back and remember the things that you had to remember in order to cast them into a book. So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Well, I do have to add that as much as the journaling is good, the coaching sessions I had with Dr. Gray, he really, really made me dig deep, because when you're reading back of the journey that you've taken, say my daughter, for instance, passing, all that was written down. My heart was written down on those pages, and I nearly gave in. I nearly didn't complete the book. And through his mentoring and his giving me coaching and helping me mentally, it helped me to push past that barrier that I had. So it was almost like reliving the experience all over again.
Yes. And to be able to do that with the support of a coach is so helpful, because the one thing about having a coach is that you are able to have that conversation and know that you are safe to be you. No matter what it is, you can let it all out, and that's a good thing. And certainly therapy has its place, but sometimes we just need to find ourselves within ourselves, find our voice, be able to connect with that inner man, so to speak, of us, who we are on the inside. And it's just really nice to be able to have a coach to do that. And I'm glad that Dr. Gray was able to help you with that, because that is a wonderful tool that coaching offers to people. When you have a good coach, you know how the Bible says, a man who finds a wife finds a good thing.
Yes.
I would say that anyone who finds a good coach has a good thing, because when in that coach, we can take and learn from that and become just the person that we are supposed to be, just because it's a sounding board. And the big thing is accountability. And I know I'm smiling about that, because I heard you say in the interview that you did with Dr. Gray recently that you made all kinds of faces when he told you he wanted you to write down.
I knew he was going to say that. I have got a problem with my face. I've got to work on that. I've got to work on that. And the first thing he says to me, I think it was lesson 1 or lesson 2 of 8. And the relationship that we had didn't know each other as much because there was a group in his group, and he gave all of us our individual homework to do. And when he says to me he wants a certain amount of pages done by the following week, I went, really? Really?
Look at that face.
I went, really? And I
You just recreated a good face.
I forgot I was on the live. I forgot I was on the live, and he could see my face. And I went, anyway, yes. He went, yes.
That is hilarious.
That was
I love that story. So
I thought, I don't think so. I won't be doing that much.
I want you to know that Lene is commenting. I love that. Lene says, we love Dr. Gray. And Dr. Gray says, yeah, I got that look. And look, he should have had that in caps because I know what that look is. So that's awesome. Sister Pele says that she has joined us and she says, amazing job, Brother John. So this is good stuff. And Dr. Gray says that so glad that you kept going. He's aware that you know, of your struggle. And like you said, the part that I think is so key there is that you pointed out that it was early in your coaching relationship. He had just kind of gotten to know you. You guys had just been introduced to one another, and you had gotten one lesson through. And then here he hit you with this bombshell. So I love that. And this is really funny to me because Dr. Gray also recognizes that journaling has saved him on many occasions, and it has. So I'm glad he recognizes it. So everyone who wants to think about doing some bodily harm to somebody for something, get your journal out, write about it. Vengeance mine, saith the Lord. So you talk to God about that in that writing. Don't you go handle that business yourself, okay? So, and then I understand that there is certainly a little bit more that you want to talk about with regard to your book. We are interested in hearing the other piece that gave you the opportunity to really demonstrate that resilience and that faith that we spoke of when you were introduced. So let's talk about that a little bit. Do you mean what's written in the book? You want me to talk about things that's in the book? Yes.
One of the hurdles, which I know is of importance to people, is the infidelity in my marriage. Now, in my book, I get down to the nitty-gritty with that straight away. I don't leave anything for the imagination. I'm sorry to say, but I really do go straight into the jugular with that. And I just wanted to be as truthful as I possibly could.
Now, why did you feel that it was important to just go right in?
I don't really know. I just felt like the message that I wanted to give, I just felt like women don't give those messages out because we're in fear. We're in fear of the gossiping. We're in fear of people looking at us a certain way. We're in fear of being judged. So there's a lot of us that are struggling in silence, that a lot of us are married and people think, I know from my experience, a lot of single ladies were under the impression that, oh, you're married, so you're fine. You're happy. You've got your husband. You've got someone. But what they don't realize is that you can be married and in a marriage, but you can be very, very lonely. And that's what I went through.
Now, I have been there, done that, so I can relate to that. I definitely can relate to that. And that's an awful feeling because it's one thing to be lonely when you are alone, but it's a whole different thing to be lonely when you're not alone.
Exactly.
So that is one of those things that you just mentioned that people struggle with in silence. And we really have to stop that. We really have to stop trying to take it all on ourselves and really just start talking with other women about the situations. And men need to do the same thing. Men need to have these conversations with other men. Find a trusted confidant and speak to them about what you are experiencing. And if you don't feel like you can have this conversation with someone that you know, then have the conversation with a therapist, have a conversation with your coach, have that conversation with someone that you know will provide you with a safe space, and that they will not be judgmental, because sometimes those closest to us, our loved ones, they can be a bit tough to share some tough things with. Those situations and circumstances that we have, it can be really hard to be vulnerable and transparent, because we're afraid. We're afraid that they're going to judge us. We're afraid of what they may tell us. They may be telling us some good stuff. They may be telling us exactly what we need to hear, but we may not need to hear it from them until we're ready to hear it. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, it's funny you say that, because after the interview with your husband, I had a gentleman comment. He messaged me and he said the interview was very inspiring. He goes, but what he said interestingly was, I know I'm not a woman, but I really found it really, inspiring. And I replied and says, you don't have to be a woman. It's not just for women. There's men in their marriages that's lonely, just like there's women that's lonely. So the message is not actually just for women. It's for men also. Men struggle in the areas that I struggled in. It's just that it's not talked about, really.
Right. Because it's not the manly thing to talk about, right? Yeah. Right. And that's so important that you bring that up, because there are a whole lot of people suffering right now. A whole lot of people who are really struggling with finding themselves and finding peace within themselves, because they won't talk about it, because they stuff and they stuff and they stuff and they stuff. And we know that when you keep stuffing stuff, at some point it's going to break. It's going to explode. So thank you for reminding men that the issues that we're talking about, while they're coming from your perspective or a female perspective, that doesn't exclude them. That doesn't leave them out of the equation, because men also need to have that conversation. And maybe reading from a female perspective may help them to understand, that whole thing of men are from Mars and women are from Venus, or however it goes. We understand that we deal with things differently. Certainly we do understand that. But at the end of the day, it's about relationships, and we're in this together. And I think that's what I love most about your story. Your story is, hey, we're in this together on a lot of fronts. So continue.
So that, to me, the infidelity, I felt like I needed to get into that so I can then connect with the readers. They could understand that the rest of my book, if I was going to be as real as I was in the beginning, then I had to follow it through with all the other issues that I know people will resonate with. And that was the reason why I chose to just go straight in. I didn't really want to go around the bushes and all down the road and before I got to the point, because there was so much different elements to my book and so much different things that I wanted to share, how I got through it, difficulty, trials, friends, work, the whole lot.
Yeah. And it's so funny, because as the in the words of I think it's Sweet Brown, she said, ain't nobody got time for that. Nobody has time for all of that sugarcoating and that, that we do. We do it, and sometimes we miss the point, and people lose interest, they lose connection, because they don't feel that you're being straight with them, being real with them, getting to the point. Sometimes we just got to say it. We got to mean what we say and say what we mean, and just put it out there and not worry about how that feels in terms of how people look at it. Sometimes we have to not be concerned about what people think. And we have to do what's best for us. And part of that whole thing, that self-care that I speak about all the time, is really just talking, really communicating. That's what the premise is for this show, Conversations for the Soul. We've got to have some real conversations about some real issues. So thank you for that. And I want you to, we do have a couple of comments coming in. And one of them that I want to highlight for a moment is Dr. Grace says, men need constant validation and more than we tell folks. And that's so true. They do. My understanding and the connections that I've had and the conversations that I've had, a lot of times, because I don't know if you know it, but I have a therapy background, a counseling background. So I've had some conversations with both males and females. And what I find is this is a persona that males have, that
Yes.
they're good. Oh, I'm good. I'm good. I don't got to talk about that. It's all good. No, it's not. Sometimes we need to talk about these things. And I thank you for giving us a vehicle to do that. Your book is one of those things that could lead to a lot of good conversations. Dr. Gray says people connect to what's real. And that's what I hear about you all the time. Boy, she's really real. So I think that's a compliment.
I think the important thing I wanted to put across is that I didn't want it to be a storybook. I really didn't want it to be a storybook.
Not a fairy tale, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it might not be for everybody, but it's the message. I didn't want to lose the message that, I mean, some of the things that I've done, when you read that book, some of the things I've done, you're going to think, no, she didn't. She didn't go there. And I read it back to myself, and I was reading it to my husband, and I went, did I really do that? Are you telling me I done that? And he went, yes, you did. I went, oh my goodness. You just think to yourself, no. And I know there's women out there that's going to think, I'm not the only one that done that then. Do you know what I mean? We're not alone.
I do know what you mean. Probably more than you know. Because in some circumstances and situations, this book is about you. So I'm not going to go all into my story. But let me tell you, I've had some moments where I look back on them. I say, ooh. Did I really just do that? But that's what happens when your heart is involved. Women love, and they love hard.
We do some stupid things. Yeah.
And sometimes those things don't come out as nice and well packaged, as gifted as they should be.
No.
So, or as we think they should be. Maybe they come out exactly what they need to be, but we're dainty. We're women.
You see the good thing about it. Well, I don't even know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but people would always say, "Oh, Jasmine, oh, you look beautiful. Oh, what a fantastic couple. Oh, you two." And I'd sit there and I think, yeah, thank you. I'd be like this all night, and then inside, when it's so painful, and you know that you're going through the pain, and you know that you're alone. That's when it hits you. And that is the important message that I need women to know, that they're not alone. They're not alone in their thinking. They're not alone in their feeling. And if they can go to church, and not even to church, a women's group, a meeting, anything, and just speak about their truth and don't feel like they're going to be judged for that, then that's where the healing process comes into play. And that is my point of writing the book.
Okay. So I understand that you are certainly a woman of faith and a very spiritual woman. Talk to me about how that played its part in this book, in your life, in your, I'm going to say recovery, for lack of a better word, because you've been through some very traumatic things. So talk to me a little bit about that whole connection with women and that what you just said, but just give us a little bit more to go on the importance of that and how people can use that as a tool, as a strategy.
Well, to be honest, from an early onset, I had a pastor who was very, very close to my family. So he was kind of our mentor, really, as a pastor. And every trial or tribulation we went through, he was there. It doesn't matter what time we called. Close to my family. So he was kind of our mentor.
Sorry.
He was always there for us. So we used to have our Bible studies, regularly weekly Bible studies. Any issues that we had, he was there on hand to address those issues. But it was a yo-yo effect. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that my faith was so high that, but it wasn't. It was low, then it was high. And I do speak about that in my book a bit, where I was a bit resentful with church and with the advice from the pastors, because, I just thought that I'm just fighting a losing battle here, and I'm just being beaten mentally, in this place that I didn't feel like I deserve or I should. But there was that voice, in my head telling me about reading scriptures and to persevere, and there's a way out for me. And that's how my faith played a part, because I surrounded myself with spiritual people. Certain, not everybody in my church or my congregation, I would go to my church for about 15 years, and there's some people that I don't even know, because I wasn't the kind of person that was in with everybody. But there was some certain close friends that I had that I'd speak to, and they'd edify me. And there's one particular friend that I had, and she walks side by side with me to this day, and she would never, ever, ever condemn my husband or my marriage. She didn't agree with it. So she didn't agree with what he was doing and the situations, but she always advised me from the word of God. And there was one particular day when I phoned her frantic, and I said, I need you to pray for me. I need you to pray for me. And she turned around and says to me, pray for what? She actually taught me how to pray to God, no longer to go to her. She wasn't the source. So I learned to go straight to God. So instead of phoning my pastor, instead of phoning my friend, I'd go straight to God.
I absolutely love that, because so often people will say to their pastor or even their first lady, whatever it may be, they'll say, pray for me. And I'll never forget, there was a lady in church, and she said it to another one of the ministers. I just happened to be walking by, and she said, oh, pray for me, pray for me. But you could tell that it wasn't really a sincere pray for me. And the minister turned to her and he said to her, so what exactly am I praying for?
Yes.
And then here was the real question. And tell me why I need to do that for you? Because you have as much access to God as I do.
Yes.
As any one of us here do. We have God is an equal opportunity God.
Yes.
So we can have that conversation with him. And one of the things I think that are intimidating to a lot of people is that they must go to God in deep prayer and certain words and certain language and all that. And sometimes it's just a matter of calling out, Jesus, Lord, help me. And sometimes that's all we can get out, because let me tell you something. I know that you know, and then when people read your book, they're going to know that there are some situations and circumstances that we encounter that we have no idea how we're going to get through.
Exactly.
We have no idea on what we need at that moment. It hurts so bad that we don't even know what we need. We just want the pain to stop.
Yes.
So I can definitely relate to that. And I thank you for, sharing that with us, because that is important. It's important for us to know that, yes, there are people there that can pray for us and intercede for us. That's great. That's wonderful. But more importantly than any of that is your own personal relationship, where you can have, as Dr. Gray said a few comments ago, he said back here somewhere, have a little talk with Jesus. And that's so true. Sometimes we just have to have that little talk with Jesus. And in having that talk, things just begin to slowly but surely get better, and we start finding ways to come out from under whatever it is that's holding us down, and to be able to just breathe and catch our breath, because sometimes things they sucker punch us and knock us out. So I know you've had a couple of those experiences and we've been talking about them. Is there anything else that you want to share with us?
Well, just to say that, I just hope that, this encourages women to speak to each other. Find that one person, even if it's one person that you can trust, because honestly, from a mental point of view, it will help you. Start writing, and you'll see how the pain eases when you pour it out on a book through words. Just like how my friend taught me to go straight to God, not to always lean on her. I find myself doing that to others now, because what I've learned through my journey is not to stay just with me. I need to pass on that mantle to the next person.
I love that, Jasmine. That is so true. Because to be perfectly honest with you, the journey is never about us individually.
No.
Our journey is how we can help somebody else. So yes. I love that you shared that. Lene says, tough times never last, but tough people do. And boy, isn't that a wonderful compliment from your child? For your daughter to say that in this space, wow. I love that. Thank you so much, Lene.
Thank you, my baby. It's been tough as a family. So to know that we're all still here and we're all supporting each other, that's very, very important. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not just myself that was affected. It was Lene. I mean, Lene would have been about 11. There's some things I speak about in the book regarding Lene. So she's been through that journey. She was old enough to know everything that was going on. We think our children don't know and don't see. We think we can hide it from them. But, they're tougher than you think, and they know more than we think.
Wow. Now, you said a mouthful there, and it's so true. We think our children are not being impacted by things, that we're shielding them, we're protecting them, we're putting that buffer up. And a lot of times they know way more than we ever think they know. And they can read us like a book. They may not always say anything. Maybe their behavior becomes an issue or whatever. But deep down inside, these kids know. And now that they have so much information at their fingertips, it's even more difficult and more challenging. So, wow. So as we are approaching 45 minutes, I want to it went really fast. It went so fast. But I do want you to know that if there's anything else that you really want to talk about, now would be the time to do that. And then we will begin the closeout process of this, because this has been an awesome conversation. Thank you for being transparent. Thank you for just talking with us and having that real talk that we spoke about in the beginning. So go ahead.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, and I want to thank Dr. Gray for allowing me to have this platform. But if there's anybody that thinks that they can't do anything, or they want to go on a mentoring program, then Dr. Gray is the one, because I'm telling you, he has taught me so much. And as he said, the program is finished. The program finished maybe 5-6 weeks ago, and he has never, ever left my side. He's always pushing me. As the Champions Academy tell you, he's always pushing me to do my best and to strive. So if there's anybody out there that wants to know more about that, then feel free to message yourself, message me. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. When my book comes out, because he plays a big part in helping me as well also. So
awesome. So that's actually one of the things that I'm going to ask you. For people who want to dig a little deeper, are you willing to do that? I know you have your book there, but let's say someone reads your book. they want to have a conversation with you, are they able to do that?
Oh yes, definitely. And
Okay.
and that's as long as it gets them starting to talk, it's getting them to talk about their feelings, and more importantly, they're not alone.
Yes.
As you know, loneliness is a sad place. So just to know that you're not alone and you can just speak to somebody, I'm more than available for that.
Okay. And tell us, when you get an opportunity, I want you to drop in the chat box how we can reach you if someone wants to reach out to you, if they can do that. And the other piece to this, and I'll hang on for a few moments afterwards so that you'll have an opportunity to do that. But I also want to just commend you for your bravery, for just being so brave and being so. Dr. Gray helped us out. He gave us your website, so that's really good. So, boy, I tell you, he's always on the job, right? Always on the job. I love it. Yes.
Brilliant.
Lene says Dr. Gray really pushes people to be the best version of themselves, and it's such a beautiful thing to witness. Oh my God.
She saw the transformation in me, you see. She's just like me. She's her mother's daughter.
I believe it. I could tell that her spirit is just so beautiful, just like your spirit. That's just awesome. I love that. Thank you so much. I want to put your website back up there so people can see that if they want to reach out to you. And I tell you, this has certainly been a wonderful thing. And I know that we kind of touched on some difficult situations. You've said a lot, but you haven't said a lot. Is there anything? You know what I'm saying?
I've got to let them read. I've got to let them read for themselves and see. There's quite a few different things, and there's quite a few miracles in there as well, which is also very important, which is what I needed to put out there. People don't understand the miracles that God has done. We're not talking about our miracles enough, and He has done some miracles through my journey also.
Yes, awesome. Is there one particular miracle that you want to share with us?
That I'm still married.
Oh, now that sounds like that's the good stuff. That's the stuff people want to talk about. They want to dig in deep for that part.
I'm still married. 7 times to go to divorce court, and I'm still married.
Wow.
So that is in my book.
That is a miracle.
Definitely a miracle.
Yes. Wow. That's amazing. So you said 7 times to divorce court?
7 times.
My goodness. That's a conversation for a whole nother day.
Yeah. So I was fighting God.
Look, Dr. Gray said the same thing. He said, that's a whole other conversation. And it is. Look, we'll have to bring you back when we're having some conversations about how we move past. How do we move past 7 trips to the divorce court and still stay together? Well, that is a wonderful testimony that you have shared with us this evening. And I know that your book is a testimony in and of itself. You are a beautiful young lady. I am going to turn the mic over to you for about 2 minutes for you to share with us anything that you want to share with us. And, thank you. Thank you for being so open, so honest, so transparent, so vulnerable. And for more than anything else, thank you for recognizing that your journey can take someone from pain to purpose. So I want you to speak real quick about what your purpose is at this point. What did you discover your purpose to be?
I always thought the pain that I was going through, I didn't ever think I was going to get out of it. I was going from one situation to another, to another, to another. And I just thought God had it in for me. I just thought, is there something wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? What is it that I'm doing wrong? That the situation seems to keep coming on my back. The devil just jumping on my back each time. And then the Holy Spirit says to me, you're going to help women. Now, I always had that for years riding on my shoulder saying, you're going to help women. Now, I know all the pain that I've gone through, all the tribulations, everything, there is a purpose in it. And that's where the title comes into play. There is purpose in my pain. Do you see what I mean? I've gone through my pain, still going through pain, because the death of my daughter, every minute of the day, that pains me, but there's still purpose in it. My purpose is to help women or men that need that they're not alone, needs to know they can be helped, to walk alongside them. The outcome might be different. They might not reach 7 times at the divorce court. Theirs might be 1. However,
this is so true. And the beautiful part about it is you are okay with that. And that's what really matters. We have to, as not just women, as men, as humans, we have to be okay with who we are in the decisions that we make and never look back. The past is there as one of those things that you glance at every now and then, but you don't stay stuck in the past. So that's so true. And I'm actually happy to hear that you and your husband were able to work things out and be able to sit here and smile about it and laugh about it, although I know it is not a laughing matter.
We laugh about it all the time. And that's where I know God, even doing this, even writing the book, even putting the things that I did in the book, I really respect him a lot for allowing me and to be okay with me doing it, because he obviously knows what's in the book. He knows he's going to be judged, or, you know, but it's something that within himself. And I thank God for that. I thank him for allowing me to do that, because this wouldn't be possible really if he wasn't on board either. So I prayed about it, and God done something to his heart, which enabled us to work together for me to help those out there that need the help.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
That's awesome. And the real truth of it is, marriage is a partnership in good and bad. So no matter what the situation is, if you're going to be married to someone, you have to be married to the point where you are in it to win it, even when it gets hard, even when it gets tough. And like I said a while back, that's a whole other conversation, but I do thank you for at least broaching the conversation. All right. Thank you so much, Jasmine. I'm going to give you those moments that we spoke of, and give you the opportunity to just have some encouraging words for our audience.
All right. I would like to encourage anyone out there that you can get through your situations, prayer, perseverance, and pain, but God is there. He's listening to you. It's not in our time, it's in God's timing. And I just want to encourage you to speak. Find that one person that you can speak to bare your soul to, so you can, you know, have some encouragement within yourself, and to know that God is there for you. That's what I found that helped me. And that's why I'm here to be that. If you want to talk to me, if you want to reach me, you want to ask questions, I'm open to that also, because it's about me teaching people what I've learned so they can pass it on to the next person, because there's always somebody that's hurting. There's always somebody in pain. So, you know, I just want to thank Dr. Gray and his wife just for giving me the platform to be able to put myself out there and to let you all know that you're not alone. You're not alone.
Love that. We definitely are not alone. You are not alone. And now that you have this book that will live on in infamy, live on long beyond you, the legacy that you leave behind, the strength that you show your children, the strength that you show other women, it's priceless. So I thank you so much for just being willing to do that. We had a wonderful conversation with you. We look forward
Thank
to
you.
having you come back another time.
Thank
Everyone,
you.
I want you to just be on the lookout for From Pain to Purpose. It will be available on her website, and it will be available on Amazon. And just like we are having this conversation today, I want us to come back together and maybe do a book club or something like that. I would love for us to just really be able to use this for the tool that you intend for it to be. And
Yeah.
it may just be women, but maybe not. It may be
Yeah.
some men that want to join in the conversation. So thank you so much, Jasmine. It was a
You're
pleasure.
welcome.
And I'm so sorry that Yashica B didn't get an opportunity to pop on and say hi, but trust me, she did the flyer for us, and she sent her well wishes, and believe me, we'll have you come back when you have a chance to talk to her, because boy, I tell you, that changes the dynamic of this conversation a lot. I love it at that, but I just want you to know that we are two different kind of interviewers. So thank you so much for joining
You're
us.
welcome.
Thank you for your honesty, your openness, and above all, thank you for reminding us that we are not alone. Have a
Thank you.
blessed and wonderful evening. And I know that it is time. It's 1:00 in the morning.
1 o'clock in the
Time to go to
morning.
bed where you are. You are from the UK. 1:00 in the morning. Looking good. All right. God bless you, my sister.
Take care.
I look
Bye-bye.
forward to talking to you another time real soon.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
All right. That was Conversations for the Soul. And boy, we had a wonderful time talking with Miss Jasmine Hamilton. She has written a book. That book is entitled From Pain to Purpose. Be on the lookout. Join her in her pursuit of peace and her pursuit of resilience and faith and hope, joy, all those things. Go to her website and get a chance to just really find out a lot more about her, because it will help you at some point. It will help you, because we have been reminded now that we are not in this alone. And there are so many stories that, while they may be individual to us, they are not unique. They may be, there's nothing new under the sun. And we all can really benefit from a couple of things. One of the things that I love that she said, journal, pray, talk about it with a trusted person, a confidant. Just do what you have to do to be okay, because it is okay to be not okay, but it's not okay to stay not okay. Thank you so much for joining Conversations for the Soul, where we'll see you next Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. God bless you all.